Is Paul. Yes. I was just looking at this self-incrimination clause of the Fifth Amendment is in depth in Chapter 20 of this handbook. But some observations are appropriate. While the Fourth Amendment concerns governmental searches of physical evidence, to interrogation seeking to communicative evidence. The interrogation means words or actions likely to be incriminating. A response, did you do it? Now, this concept of written or nonverbal, nodding, requires the accused to use a thought process about the looking information, fingerprints, and physical evidence. Thought process, yes. Did they say thought process twice? Oh, the thought process presents amendment to self-incrimination clause issue. Yes. Now, this thought process, yes. I know that when you arrest me for the crime in Swim, Washington, pooch. But then you say, nope, he's got to have a mental health evaluation, ooch. This thought process of telling the Western State Hospital, yes, while in jail for 27 days, yes, while wanting to reschedule the mental health evaluation, yes, when the judge requested my presence in court to explain why I wanted to reschedule it because of a blood nausea, yes, there's a thought process in each of these mental health evaluations. Now, it was used against me, wasn't it? I wasn't in Squim, Washington, but when Phyllis did the second mental health evaluation, yes, she included the documentation from the first mental health evaluation where I actually told the evaluator during that 25 minutes where I said, well, you don't really have jurisdiction or authority of law to do what you're doing. Now, I had told the judge, well, I was not given personal service or service by publication. Now, each time that the judicial system involves the accused and anything involving the actual judicial process, it involves the thought process. Pooch. Now, it was self-incriminating that I'm mentally ill. Ooh, because Phyllis looked at what the other evaluator did and said, well, that evaluator said that I had unspecified schizophrenia with just a touch of psychosis. Yes, unspecified bipolar with some adverse effects. Yes, yes, yes. And for some reason, I think there's a police state that refuses to enforce the rights of American citizens. Now, let's say you're in prison. Pooch. You were one of these that had a mental health evaluation when you said I didn't do it. But they couldn't admit a mistrial because that would make them look bad. Pooh. See, a judge that doesn't feel that justice can be done could declare a mistrial at any time before the verdict, but they made you go through restoration treatment because you're schizophrenic, ooch, bipolar, poach. They put you on lithium, or they decided to dose you with, You went through that whole process of trying to explain to the judge that you did not do it, and they just wouldn't believe you. Now, I've had a similar experience that when you're in prison, okay, do not discuss your personal criminal record, but do get a copy, a hard copy in actual paper form, yes, of every note and every document as to why you were put in prison. Pooh. Now, I would say that that mental health evaluator, when they do not believe you, because for some reason those that are mental health evaluators think everybody's fucking crazy for some fucking reason. But when I document to the second mental health evaluation, would you like to see a forgery? Pow! It seemed that I'm delusional for not seeing an actual signature of the petitioner. Yes. I'm delusional for not being able to read page one. Yes. Where my own public defender had made a little mustache on it. Yes. Did not receive actual notice of court hearing. Oh. Now, Phyllis, the employee of Western State Hospital, says I'm delusional for not being able to read court orders. This is how it works in the United States. One stupid fucking judge refuses to declare a mistrial because I was not given any notice or opportunity to be heard. The public defender's office can never admit any wrongdoing because they wouldn't admit the evidence. I decide that, well, I have to reschedule because I look really bad after having swallowed a large amount of blood because of my bleeding gums, because nobody enforced my victim's rights. Now, I do have a lot of broken teeth in my mouth that I'd like to have repaired. Pooch. But you make up some other bullshit about me committing a crime in Brennan, Washington, and then you refuse to admit the evidence. Now, for every person in prison right now that has had a similar experience where once you had your public defender not defend you because they would not enforce your civil rights, they wouldn't include the whole protection order. They wouldn't include the fraudulent statements on both the protection order and the order for surrender of weapons. They wouldn't get a handwriting expert to say, well, is this the actual signature of the... It could be that you'd have a large lawsuit if you're sitting there right now. Pooch. Do not let anyone know about your personal criminal record except for the individual that happens to be a fellow inmate in women's or men's prisons that could say, yeah, that happened to me. Now, I know, Pooch, this whole concept of self-incrimination, when it's incriminating to require a mental health evaluation, because the public defender wouldn't get the video camera surveillance that I was in Sequim, Washington, and wouldn't admit the evidence that I'd sent an email that day, so there was no possible way I was in Sequim that day. Pooch. And then the judge said, well, we're going to have a mental health evaluation. It seems to me that there's a reason why the second evaluator would have to support the first evaluator. Boo! And that's why I'm sitting here on the fucking street right now.